Hello, this is Roland. Today I wanted to stop by to bring a special message to all my listeners and viewers. A lot of people watch me on YouTube, or to put it another way, they watch my YouTube lectures, and a lot of people listen to my radio program. So first of all, if you watch me on YouTube and you like some of the topics and what I have to say, then you should listen to my radio program. It's really good. If you listen to my radio program and you like it, then you should watch some of the YouTube videos, okay? You can easily find them at sheddingshackles.com. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm in my late 60s, okay? And I'm just sort of a regular guy, okay? Around age 40, well, a change occurred. I think that I began to wake up. That's what it was. I began to wake up. And why it is, I don't know. I guess it was time. And then the good Lord helped with the awakening process. Then I began to realize things, to understand things that I never understood before. The more understanding I had, the more forgiving I could be, and the more sure I could be about what I knew, and doubts began to flee. That's one of the things that plagues us all, doubts. We're not sure about this, we're not sure about that, so we go to some expert. We go to this minister, this priest, this rabbi, this psychologist, this college teacher, this author, this expert. And they all have something good to say, some little tidbits of truth or little aphorisms or something that they've gleaned that's of some value. But how do you put it all together? It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You know, have you seen these great big giant jigsaw puzzles that like have 1,000 pieces? How do you put it all together? Well, I found out how you do. You have to learn to trust what you know in your heart. You have to learn to trust your intuition, your God-given intuition. Okay, and it's also called common sense. So all the way from the most basic common sense things, all the way up to the most sublime realizations about spiritual matters. Okay, it's all intuition. So that means that I can hear what other people say, and if there's anything of value, then I note it. Somehow I just note it. I don't try to note it, I just do, and that's good. If there's nothing of value, it all goes in one ear and out the other. When I grab a book, somehow I kind of can sense, and I don't know how, which books have something of value and which don't. You know, a lot of books don't. And the ones that don't have anything of value are usually the most mainstream. You know, like a giant textbook. You know, it's this thick. You know how big textbooks are now? It's a racket. You make a lot of money on those textbooks. And they keep revising them. And they add more problems, and they add all kinds of teacher's guides and student guides, and everything. They make a fortune. Anyway, the bigger the textbook, the less of any value is going to be in it. Sure, there may be some formulas that you can learn, or a couple of basic facts, but beyond that, see, sometimes the ones that are the most valuable are seemingly are old books or off-the-wall books. You just note something, and it turns out to be something of value. But so how do I learn? I learn from within. The outside books, the outside speakers, the outside everything provides, how should I say this, provides the raw materials, vocabulary, some jargon, a couple of formulas, and then it's collated somehow inside through my common sense and my intuition, which is God-given, and I put it all together, and then I understand. So understanding leads to understanding, and so where does my knowledge come from? Not from the outside; it comes from within. And from the outside, all I get is jargon, formulas. See? Or I see what doesn't work. On the outside, I can see, and I can see what isn't right. Somehow I just see when people have something all wrong. I just see it. Okay? So anyway, the bottom line is I'm self-taught. Okay? So, about myself. Well, I've been on the radio for 28 years. And what happened was, when I started to get better, I started to understand some basic things. Oh, what I began to say earlier is, the more understanding I had, the more forgiving I could be. I became less judgmental. Less judgmental, less angry, less resentful. See? And I began to see that other people were lost sheep. They had doubts. They didn't understand. They went to the wrong people who gave them the wrong advice. And they got all messed up. See? Confused. And the more they went to all different sources, the more confused they became, and the more they needed the outside sources who misled them and took advantage of them. Once in a while you find the right one, which is good. But how do you find the right one? Well, you have to get lucky. But there ought to be a better process than just getting lucky. See, you ought to be able to see. You ought to be able to see. You know, when you watch a mechanic, you can tell whether the mechanic's any good or not. If the mechanic's no good and charges too much and something not quite right, then just don't go there anymore. Find another one, because there are good mechanics. You see. So there's a little trial and error involved, but then all of a sudden you find the right one. See, it's a discovery process. One time I wrote a book called Finding the Discovery Path. It was a beautiful book. I self-published it, and it came out with spiral binding, you know. Have you ever seen that cute little slogan, learning's supposed to be fun, and supposed is misspelled. It's really cute. But it is, it's like little children learn. See? Little tiny children learn at lightning speed. They learn how to walk, they learn how to talk, they learn everything at lightning speed. And it's a fun. Every day is an adventure. That's the way life's supposed to be. See, as you become an adult, then the adventure becomes a greater adventure. More like Raiders of the Lost Ark or Star Trek. Okay. Well, so who's in charge of this great adventure? It's God. He's in charge. He knows what's good. See, He made you. He's the creator of all things. He's the Lord of all realms. He's much smarter than you are. And He knows what's good for you. But you, see, it's not totally your fault. You're born with a ego nature that you inherit. You inherit the fallen nature. And then you grow to be a big ego, which is okay. You have to. But then, once you're a big ego, then maturity is what? What is maturity then? It's becoming less emotional. See? Becoming wiser. Having more understanding. See? So, but most people, they never get there. They never get past being just a big ego. And then they continue to grow as an ego. They become more and more prideful, more and more stubborn, more and more lost, more and more stuck in their ways, more and more angry, and then they never grow. To a large extent, that's what trauma is. See, the ones that want to have power over you, see, the ones that want to be your master, they don't want you to grow, to become like a Christ or a Paul. They don't want that. Or an Einstein. Remember Einstein? You know, he didn't do very well in school. He didn't. One of the math teachers hated him. You know why he hated him? Because Einstein used to sit in the back of the room with a grin on his face. How many of you had a teacher that hated someone who had a grin on their face? How many of you sat down at the dinner table and you're grinning or giggling about something and happy, and then you get slapped? Wipe that grin off your face. See? Well, the powers that be, they don't like a grin. They want to be taken seriously because they're very pompous. They want to be taken seriously, and they want to be in charge of everything. How many of you had someone in your family, your mother perhaps, or someone who was in charge of everything, every little thing? Then you don't grow. A lot of times kids are rebellious because they're fighting for their selfhood. They don't want to be smothered. Okay? So there's a lot to learn. Well, so the more understanding, understanding leads to understanding. And forgiveness leads to more forgiveness and to letting go. See? To a large extent, the traumas are the shock of it and the betrayal of it, and then the emotions of it that lock you in. See? So more and more with understanding in this light, in God's light, this intuition. The more you see, the more you let go. So to a large extent, life is a process of letting go, becoming free. Becoming free. Okay? Now, some people have the right idea, like, a lot of people are interested in decluttering. One lady became an expert on decluttering. She sold 1 million books because everybody's interested in cleaning up the clutter in their life, because they all know how we hang on to stuff. We hang on to memories and pictures and old clothes and old shoes and old things, but until our life is filled with clutter. So we sensed it. Just let it go. See, so I understand that, but it has to go deeper. It's these traumas, childhood traumas and other traumas that keep people held down. So I want people to be free. So I went on the radio, mainly to talk about, one thing that causes people to hang on to the past and never grow past it is resentment. Big mistake. So I began talking about that, about letting go of resentment, about being more forgiving. People don't know what being more forgiving means. They think you have to be nice to someone who hurt you, or be friends with them, or pretend nothing happened. No, it's not that at all. Forgiveness simply means letting go of the resentment. That's all. See, someone did you wrong, you let go of the resentment. Just don't hate them anymore. See that they couldn't help themselves. Someone did it to them. See? And then you don't have to have anything to do with them ever again. See, you can shake the dust from your sandals and move on with your life. See? Sometimes someone did you wrong when you were a kid and now they're gone. They're dead, or you don't know where they're at. You can just forgive them in the spirit. You just forgive them. You let go of the resentment and you're free of them. You're free to move on, see? So a lot of people have learning blocks. Resentment is behind it. Of course, there shouldn't have been pressure in the first place, or the wrong educational techniques in the first place, or the wrong atmosphere in the first place. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. See? But if you can let go of the resentment, then you're free. So I began to talk to people about things like that. This was 28 years ago. In San Francisco on KEST radio. KEST was a little station, but it was very popular. And it had a large part of the day was dedicated to what they called personal growth. So you had people who were experts in vitamins and yoga and exercise and Tai Chi and Buddhism and Christianity and spirituality and all kinds of neat stuff. Okay? Exercise, personal growth. So there I was. Well, it became clear to me, not because I read it, not because somebody said it. I just sensed that there was no doubt about it. There was that God was involved. And I began to sense that all these things that I had heard when I was a little child about Jesus and so on, and what Jesus had to say, what he talked to people about forgiveness and so on, I began to see it was all true. I just saw it. I just woke up and one day And I just saw it. Nothing dramatic, no emotions, it was just clear. Things began to become clear. Okay. And so what was it that really helped me get started? Well, it was a meditation. Learning a little meditation that basically is sitting still, closing your eyes, becoming aware of your hands, so you can begin to feel your hands tingle a little bit. And then you can feel the blood flowing into your hands, your hand or your hands, and they become warm, at least tingly. You feel them full of life, as the blood flows into them, a little bit tingly. And sitting still, okay, and with the eyes closed, looking at the inside of your eyelids, looking at the inside of your eyelids, and then you see the little particles of light on the inside of your eyelids, little patterns of light, little warm glow of light. Just look at that. Just gaze at it. Just relaxedly gaze at the inside of your eyelids, and at the same time being aware of your hands. When a thought comes along and tries to take you away, maybe it will take you away a little bit. Something you have to do or something that happened. Then you catch yourself drifting away with the thought, and then you just gently come back to the present again, back to being aware of your hands and looking at the inside of your eyelids. Okay? And then another thought comes along, and you notice that it's taking you away a little bit, and you come back to the moment, back to being aware of your hands and looking at the inside of your eyelids. See how simple that is? But what does that do? It helps you to defocus. See, our whole life we're too everything that's traumatized us, everything that's grabbed our attention, everything that's shocked us and excited us and emotionalized us and threatened us and teased us, challenged us. Pretty soon everything captures your attention. You have to learn to just defocus. See? Deconcentrate. See? And take a mental step back. So that's the best way I can put it. So the little exercise is practicing taking a mental step back. You know how when you're talking to someone and maybe there's a little disagreement, and pretty soon you're getting pulled into the disagreement? Then you notice it, then you take a step back. Okay? Take a mental step back. And when you take that mental step back, and that's the purpose of the meditation, it helps you to practice taking a mental step back. See, a lot of us, we get so pulled into things, pulled into our music, pulled into a video game, pulled into studying, pulled into some challenge, pulled into some gossip, pulled into reading. See, we get pulled, we get lost, we get pulled out into the world and we get lost. See? So when you go out into the world, then it's hard to practice taking a mental step back because you forget. You forget to take a mental step back. It's like forgetting to do a reality check. You've heard the term reality check? It's a good thing. But you have to remember to do the reality check. If you forget to do the reality check, well, the little exercise helps you to practice taking a mental step back and then having that state of mind, having that, being in that space. And in that space, you are closer to intuition. You are close to your intuition from God, from which you can learn everything. Remember I said that God is smarter than you are. He made you. He knows what's good for you. And you just sense it's wordless. It's wordless. It's a way of knowing without words. Okay? And so a mental step back, and it gives you understanding. See? And it gives you discipline, self-control. Just standing back is in itself already very important. If you could just do that and not get pulled into something and not get aggravated and irritated and nervous and excited and then say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing if you just took the mental step back. That in itself is already good. And so the meditation helps you to carry that mental step back out into the world with you. So you're a little bit detached. And then you can be in the world but not of the world. And then when you go through life with that little bit of detachment, then when things come along, then you are able to walk with wisdom. It imparts wisdom, understanding, common sense, self-control, all the good things that you've always wanted. It imparts them to your life. So then you go out in the world and you do whatever you do. You're a student, you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a brother, you're an employee, you're whatever you are. But you have a little bit of distance. Now as you go out in the world, things will still upset you a little bit. Not as much as before, but something will get to you. Someone who looks like the mom that screamed at you, or the teacher who berated you, or something that in the past upset you, now there is the same type of thing again. So you'll get a little bit upset, or you'll get a little caught up in something, or you'll be drifting away with music. But then all of a sudden you notice that you are, and you take a step back. And then with each day you gain more control, more perspective, more understanding, and it builds. Okay? All you have to do is practice a little exercise every day. It's very important. Okay. So, I wanted to mention a couple of other things before we run out of time. One of the things I tried, I see there are a lot of Christians who, how can I say this? They're all caught up with the words and study. See, they want to be better people. They really do. They really, really do. And they like what they hear. They like the idea of forgiveness and patience and love, and they like that. They want to be a good parent or a good partner and everything. But then they try to study their way to it. And I've always said you can't study your way to God. Remember, it comes from within. It's from intuition. God communicates to you by way of your intuition. That in itself is a fundamental insight. If you could see that, it's very important to see that. And, now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yeah, so Christians, they really want to be better people. But, of course, not all of them. Some of them want to be pompous and lord it over others. See? And be self-righteous. Like the Pharisees, you remember? Jesus didn't get along with the Pharisees very well, did he? But there are a lot of Christians that just want to be, they honestly want to be a better person. But they've been told, well, you have to study and this and that. But it's not working. Something is missing. And they begin to feel like a fraud. They feel like the more they study, see, study can make you guilty because you're looking in the wrong place. See, God doesn't want you to study. It's not that He's against you taking a class or learning something, to be a better electrician or whatever you are, or accountant or whatever. He's not against that. But you can't study your way to Him. He wants you to realize Him within. And it comes by way of intuition. So anyway, these Christians, I thought, well, if I became a pastor, then I could make some videos, lectures, and have my radio program. A non-denominational pastor, not a member of any denomination, not a member of a church or any kind of a group of any kind, and not anything anybody can belong to. Just a pastor for everyone. See, with no obligation, no hard and fast rules, just common sense and love and understanding and intuition. So I found a place where I could become ordained as a pastor, non-denominational, okay, which means I don't belong to any particular church. So that was very nice. And so for quite a while, for, 3, 4 years, 5 years, I called my program on the radio Talk to a Pastor. And I tried setting up some chat, not chat, but what do you call it? Texting, what would you call that? Where you, it's like live chat, where you text something and they type back and you type them and they type back, like that. Live texting, sort of. But it didn't work out. I tried. I sat by the computer but most of the questions were not so good, and some of them were not sincere, and some of them were just trying to make trouble, make fun of me, or make fun of pastors or something, and so it didn't work out. So I gradually let that go. So now basically, so then I thought, well, what can I call my program? I thought, well, let's call it Shedding Shackles. Shedding means letting go, and shackles are like chains. Letting go of the chains of the past. What binds you to the past. Letting go and becoming free. Okay? So I'm still at what I do. I've written 19 books. I have number 20 is almost ready to be published. They're on Amazon. So I have my radio program. I make these lectures. And I'm trying to set people free. See, I don't want you to be I don't want to be an expert. All I want to be is to speak in such a way, Lord willing, that perhaps it'll awaken you to see for yourself. That's true religion, to see for yourself. Okay? To see for yourself. Okay? When you realize something that's beautiful, not because somebody said so, not because you read it, because you see it. And if somebody says it or you read it, then you like what you read because it testifies on the outside to the truth that you know in your heart. That's all. And when something is not right, then even that, you see that it's not right. And how do you see it? You see it in the inner light of truth. So the inner light is testifying wordlessly. Wordlessly, it's saying, that's not quite right. See? So it's the inner truth. It's intuition. First, last, and always. Things on the outside only confirm or only testify to what you already know. Okay? Well, I hope you enjoyed this little video. I certainly enjoyed making it, a little something different, kind of more casual, and hope you enjoyed it.